Some of you may have heard the term new militarism, but nothing further from the truth. You know, Japan's defense policy and the defense build-ups are not based on the idea of identifying any specific country or region as a threat or having a military confrontation with it.
Is a worried US ally trying to calm tensions with China as regional frictions continue to rise? Tokyo insists its military buildup is aimed at strengthening national security, not provoking a conflict with China. An aide to Senai Takaichi pushes back against Chinese criticism months after controversial remarks on regional security. Takaichi previously argued that Japan should be prepared to respond if China launches military action against Taiwan. Is Beijing viewing Japan's expanding military capabilities as preparation for potential Taiwan contingency? Or is Tokyo accelerating its defenses after reassessing regional security risks and the reliability of Allied military support? Japan hit back at China's new militarism charge, adding to growing tensions between the two Asian powers over regional security issues. Japan's Defence Minister Shinjiro Koizumi rejected accusations that Tokyo is embracing what Beijing describes as new militarism. At the Shangri-La Dialogue, Koizumi accused China of rapidly expanding its military capabilities with limited transparency.
Some of you may have heard the term new militarism, but nothing further from the truth. Think about it. There is a country that has a huge arsenal of nuclear weapons and strategic bombers. Japan has neither of such weapons, and yet Japan is labeled new militarism. Isn't it strange? You know, Japan's defense policy and the defense build-ups are not based on the idea of identifying any specific country or region as a threat or having a military confrontation with it. That said, China continues to increase its defense spending at a high level and is rapidly expanding its military capabilities across a wide range of areas without sufficient transparency. China's external approach and military activities are matters of serious concern for Japan and the international community. Japan believes it is essential to have persistent, candid dialogue and communication without turning our eyes away from concrete and difficult issues precisely because challenges exist. Japan's door is always open. The Ministry of Defense will continue to use various channels and every available opportunity to communicate firmly with the Chinese side. So please give my best regards to my counterpart.
The remarks came after China urged Asia-Pacific countries to remain vigilant against what it called Japan's neo-militarism. Chinese delegate Major General Meng Xiangqing also criticized Japan during discussions at the Singapore Security Forum. Meng questioned whether Japan had fully eliminated the legacy of militarism from its national security policies. Major General Meng Xiangqing said, and I quote, "I deeply doubt whether a country that has not thoroughly eradicated the toxic legacy of militarism is qualified to talk extensively about defense cooperation on international occasions, and whether it can win the trust of the international community, especially the Asian countries it once invaded." Unquote. Ties between Tokyo and Beijing have deteriorated amid disputes involving the East China Sea and the future of Taiwan. Relations worsened after Japanese Prime Minister suggested a Chinese attack on Taiwan could prompt a Japanese response. Beijing claims Taiwan as part of its territory, while Taipei continues to reject China's sovereignty claims over the island. China's Defense Minister Dong Jun skipped the Shangri-La Dialogue for the second consecutive year. Dong's absence denied Beijing a high-profile opportunity to engage directly with regional defense leaders and counterparts. Meanwhile, Koizumi said he regretted not being able to meet and hold talks with his Chinese counterpart. Despite ongoing disputes, he said Japan remains open to dialogue and engagement with China to maintain regional stability. This comes as Tokyo unveiled its most significant defense export reforms in decades earlier this year. The April reforms removed long-standing restrictions that had limited overseas military exports by Japanese companies. The changes open the door for Japanese firms to export warships, missiles, and other military equipment abroad. As tensions between China and Taiwan continue to mount, Japan is deploying troops to Germany under a NATO mission. On May 29, Japan announced the deployment of 4 troops to train under NATO's mission connected to Ukraine. The Japanese personnel will reportedly study and analyze battlefield tactics used by Russian troops during the war. Japan's troops are set to be stationed at NATO's Ukraine mission headquarters in Germany, Politico reported. Japan's defense minister said the deployment marks a deeper strategic cooperation between Tokyo and NATO allies. Shinjiro Koizumi also sharply criticized China over its rapidly expanding military deployment across the region. Just 24 hours before the announcement, Russia had reportedly issued a warning directly to Japan. Russia warned Japan against deploying the U.S. Typhoon missile system near its borders, according to Politico. The U.S. deployment of the Typhoon missile system in southern Japan is increasingly being seen as a direct threat to China. The Typhoon systems are also expected to take part in joint U.S.-Japan military drills scheduled for June 2026. A Chinese analyst told SCMP the Typhoon systems threaten coastal cities and vital naval routes into the Pacific. The deployment site for the Typhoon missile system in Japan is also reportedly located close to mainland China. Cities like Shanghai, Fujian, and Zhejiang could fall within range of Tomahawk missiles launched from the Typhoon platform. China has reportedly accused the United States of threatening regional security through the Japan deployment. Beijing had similarly lashed out at Washington's decision to deploy Typhoon missile systems to the Philippines in 2024. China is strengthening defenses around its nuclear arsenal as tensions continue to rise sharply with U.S. ally Taiwan. In an exclusive report by Reuters, China is said to be building launch pads close to key nuclear missile silo sites. Satellite images reviewed in the report reveal a sprawling network of launch pads, bunkers, and communication hubs. The report claims China has constructed more than 80 launch pads near the Hami nuclear missile silo field. These launch pads are positioned near isolated silos believed to house China's longest-range strategic missiles, Reuters reported. The images suggest the 80 sites could support mobile missile launchers as well as air defense batteries. The facilities may also be designed to support electronic warfare, satellite communications, and command operations. The new infrastructure is reportedly intended to shield and operate China's land-based nuclear forces more effectively. A research fellow cited by Reuters alleged that the network stretches across thousands of square kilometers. The PLA is believed to use silo fields in Xinjiang and Gansu provinces as the backbone of its nuclear forces. The new pads could potentially host mobile air defense missiles, electronic warfare nodes, or even ICBM launchers. A new analysis warns that this depletion could undermine U.S. readiness for any future conflict with China. Precision-guided munitions and air defense interceptors were used at a pace that outstripped replacement rates. That has raised fresh doubts about whether the U.S. can sustain major wars across multiple theaters at once. A prolonged replenishment timeline could weaken American deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. The Iran war also exposed concerns that the U.S. defense industrial base cannot keep up with the demands of modern conflict. Analysts have long warned that any war over Taiwan would require very large volumes of advanced weaponry. Critics argue the costly Iran war failed to produce a decisive outcome while also draining U.S. firepower. The resulting strain on stockpiles may now leave Washington facing greater risks in a future Asia-Pacific crisis. U.S. defense contractors may need at least 3 years to rebuild key weapon stockpiles after the Iran war. A new CSIS analysis warned that depleted inventories could leave the United States more vulnerable. Tomahawk missiles, Patriot interceptors, and THAAD interceptors were identified as 3 of the key systems under strain. The think tank said the main challenge is not funding, but the time required to expand production. That means the window of vulnerability could last for several years until stockpiles are restored. China has notably set a goal of being able to take Taiwan by force, if necessary, by 2027. CSIS said it could take until late 2030 to fully rebuild Tomahawk inventories to their pre-war level. Fewer than 200 Tomahawks are currently produced each year, though Raytheon is aiming to raise capacity above 1,000. The report also said it could take until the end of 2029 to replace as many as 290 THAAD interceptors. Replenishing more than 1,000 Patriot interceptors is expected to be completed around mid-2029. Despite the shortages, the Pentagon has insisted it still has enough in its arsenal to carry out the president's orders.